Yeah, so I'm a native Nevadan, and I think coming from this place, like the high desert, is a really big influence on my work. We're in a valley at the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. So we have mountains to the west, and then kind of the eastern side of Nevada opens up onto desert, high desert. So we're fairly high elevation here. 4,000, 5,000 feet above sea level. And the desert here is sparse. There's lots of ranges, mountain ranges here, and then sagebrush. There's actually a lot of flora and fauna that grow here, but a lot of people who come here from other greener places think that it looks really, really barren. I really like being from the desert. I'm really drawn to these kind of more desolate seeming spaces because they're, at least my experience in that environment is a bit of, it invites introspection. And so there's a lot more subtlety happening. You're not overwhelmed, your senses are not overwhelmed. And so there's more of an internal sort of experience there. My artwork is really environment-based. It's a process that starts with me just interacting with the spaces that I'm in. The Black Rock Desert is very close to where I am. Being in the environment, I take inspiration from things that I see, things that are growing there. There's this internal process that happens. So it's almost more about the psychological experience of space and that perception. There's a piece in the exhibit from my Mirage series, which is a double exposure done with a Polaroid camera. So it's instant film, double exposed, and it creates this layered image that looks like a mirage. And I was really, really interested in mirages because they're this optical phenomenon that you can actually record. They exist, but then sort of what you see and perceive in your mind is more related to your psychological state, how you're feeling, your mood, things like that, like what you want to see. And I love that idea of this interaction between the internal and the external. I like to layer things in my work because I think it speaks to that idea of the layering of the human perception and the external environment and all of these different factors that sort of come into one experience. So with the digital transfers, those start as a photograph, and then I put them into Photoshop or on the computer, and generally I edit them a little bit. So either cut out the sky so that I have the mountain ranges and things like that, and then take those forms. On paper, you can use something like hand sanitizer, actually. So alcohol-based something that will transfer the image onto the paper. I really like that process. It's like using instant film because you don't have complete control over it. So your images start to sort of fall apart and you can't predict how they're going to, what the texture of the paper is going to do to the image. So it changes it. So it's not just this straight photograph. And some of that I think came from my learning traditional photography, analog photography prior to everything moving into digital. And digital just felt like there was so much control. You didn't have room for some of these sort of accidents with the material to sort of do these surprise things. So that's part of why I'm really drawn to those multi-stepped processes where the image sort of gets manipulated. And then from there, like I said, I'll layer other things over like cyanotype and things like that.